الرقية. This video is about opening the mouth. When the horse opens his mouth when you lead him or when you ride him with the bit. Why does it happen? Is it a correct thing or a right thing or a bad thing? And my opinion about that. Even though I talked about it a lot in YouTube, my old videos, but I want to talk about it again because I was asked about it again. To make it very simple for you, I will talk about, let's say, 4 or 5 steps that you should do or see to understand what I'm saying. Number 1, when the horse opens his mouth in a certain situation or place, for example, you're leading the horse into a starting gate or into a trailer, or you are riding him and you want him to go inside water, or cantering a young horse when you are starting, or betting him for the first time, or toting him, or whatever. The horse is opening his mouth because of the bit in a certain situation. Number 1, the person you are discussing this issue or this, let's say, matter with should be someone who got the same result you got without his horse opening his mouth in the same exact situation. Again, it should be someone who got the same result you got with his horse in the same exact situation without his horse opening his mouth. Your horse opened his mouth, his horse did not open his mouth. In this case, you could actually discuss what's happening and why it's happening. But when someone is actually doing the same thing you're doing, but he's not controlling his horse, of course the horse is not going to open his mouth. For example, you try to stop the horse before, while, or after going inside the water, and you try to move him back. So there is some pressure and release with the hands on the body and the legs and the seat on the horse's back, so the horse is reacting to your pressure. So there will be some movement in his neck, head and mouth. If someone else does the same exact thing but doesn't try to stop the horse or move him back, and the horse just bolts forward or bucks forward, and he's not pulling, he's just letting the horse do whatever he wants, and he's just a view or an extra weight on the horse's back, of course the horse is not going to open his mouth because there is no control, no pressure. Correct pressure or wrong pressure, regardless of that, he doesn't have any control, so the horse is not going to give him any reaction. So that's number 1. 2 riders riding in 2 different ways or styles of riding in the same exact situation, both of them stopped and controlled the horse to a point that they can stop him easily and move him back easily, but one of them did not get that reaction, which is opening the mouth a lot, and the other one got that reaction, which is opening the mouth a lot. That's the first step. If you don't see that, it's a waste of time for you and for the person in front of you to discuss the matter if you want to discuss it. Number 2, when he opens his mouth, did he open his mouth with a way of riding that uses the hands alone, or is it a way of riding that depends on the spurs and the martingale and the saddle and the legs and the seat on the horse's back or not? For example, I ride bareback without the martingale to force the horse to bend his neck, without the saddle to keep you on the horse's back, without the whip to move the horse or control his directions easier, and without using the spurs to control his directions or hind quarters easier. Which means you depend on your hands. Every single thing you do, speed and direction, is connected to your hand reactions, to your hand accuracy. When someone else is in the same exact situation, but he's riding with a saddle, I have no saddle. Martingale, no martingale. Whip, no whip or stick. Spurs, no spurs. Lunging before the ride, no lunging. So in the same exact situation, of course his horse is not going to open his mouth even if he got the same result, because the pressure in his way of riding is not just on the mouth. Some of the pressure is on the mouth, some of the pressure is on the neck and the top of the neck by the martingale or via the martingale, and a lot of the pressure is on the back of the horse, let's say the end of the back of the horse on the saddle, and a lot or most of the pressure is on the sides of the horse with the spurs. So his reaction to the pressure is not going to be just in the mouth or the neck or the head. The pressure is the same or even more, but it's not just on the mouth, it's on other places or spots. In this case, it's just the hand, so it's going to be very visible because it's on the mouth. So people believe that this way of riding did not hurt the horse and this way of riding hurt the horse, which is the complete opposite of the truth. Why? We have to jump to step number 3 to understand exactly what I'm saying. You have to jump to step number 3, which is why is opening the mouth, or why is the horse opening his mouth regarded wrong, or why do you call it wrong? Why is this horse opening his mouth is a bad thing in your opinion, or a wrong thing in your opinion? Most riders, or all riders, will say opening his mouth proves that you are using strength and the horse is not comfortable with what you're doing, so he's opening his mouth because of the pain. Okay, what will happen when that happens? When the horse is not comfortable and he feels pain, and because of that he opened his mouth, usually what will happen? All of them will say he will become more stiff, it will be harder to stop him, it will be harder to move him back, it will be harder to control him, so you will lose control, not the opposite. So if he's opening his mouth because he's not comfortable, or because he's trained in a bad way, he shouldn't give me what I want, he should fight me back. I shouldn't be able to stop the horse and move him back easily with my little finger. I shouldn't be able to get the same exact result in a lot of videos, even with the halter. No bit in his mouth, in the same exact situation, and you get the same exact result with your little finger in many videos. So if opening the mouth is wrong because it is regarded, or you believe it is, painful, and when it's painful, you believe, all of us believe, that the horse will fight back instead of giving you what you want. Why is he giving me what I want? Why is he becoming more, let's say, soft or softer and lighter on the bit or on your hands? And he keeps getting lighter and softer. Why isn't he becoming heavier? Why isn't he fighting me more? If they say because you are using strength, that means they said something, then they said the complete opposite, which means you are dealing with liars who are not actually honest in what they are saying. They said that he's hurt, there is some pain, and when there is pain, you will not control him. When you said, I already controlled him, come and see, they said, yes, you controlled him because of pain. So a couple of seconds ago, they say because of the pain, you will not control him. When you proved that you controlled him, they say that you controlled him because of the pain. Isn't that lying? Isn't that being unhonest? And the person in front of you is not being honest with you? That's number one in the let's say, third part, or the third step, which is, if it's more painful, why am I controlling him more? The second part is, if the other horse is not opening his mouth and you are getting the same result I got, for example, in a completely different way, you are a little bit better as a way of, as a rider, let's say your talent is more, or your experience is more or less, or around me, but your way of riding is different than my way of riding, and your horse gave you the same results that my horse gave me, and you used other equipments and tools, and there is no real reaction in the mouth. The horse's mouth is not as opened as my horse's mouth, for example. What I'm saying is very simple. It's the same pain, same pressure, but you're just using the pressure in different spots, not just the mouth. If they deny that, prove me wrong by not using the other things. If you believe that he's not opening his mouth because you're not using strength, and I am using strength, in their opinion, for example, then remove the saddle and the martingale and the spurs and the whip and get the same result without showing me a reaction from the horse in his mouth. Remove the spurs, remove this, let go of the stick or the whip, don't ride with the saddle or the martingale, don't lunge the horse before the ride, and get the same result I got and stop him and move him back without him opening his mouth. From every 100 horse, 0% of them will not open their mouth. All of them, with no exception, will start opening the mouth because the rider doesn't have a spurs or a whip or a saddle or a martingale, so all the pressure is on the hands, so he will start to use the hands, which means the mouth will feel the hands more, which means as a normal reaction for a horse, he will open his mouth. If it's a good rider, he will get the same result I got, which means he's not using strength or pain. If it's a bad rider, the horse will open his mouth and bolt and do what he wants, and you will lose control, which will lead me to the fifth or the fourth step. Opening the mouth is not correct, but it's not wrong. Just like the neck positions I talked about before, and just like the equipments and tools and all these things. Why is he doing the thing he's doing is more important than just doing it. A horse who's opening his mouth because you are using strength is not comfortable. That's why he becomes heavier or harder on your hands or on the bit. That's why you keep losing control over the horse and he keep getting worse, not better, because of the pain, because he's not comfortable. A horse who's opening his mouth also, but he's lighter and softer and he's giving you what you want, that means you are riding him in a correct way. But why is he opening his mouth a little bit? Because it's a normal reaction, because when there is some pressure on the mouth from the bit, a normal reaction for the horse is to open the mouth to protect the sides of his mouth, the mandible jaw. If someone pulls you from behind, not in a very strong way, like that, and you pull forward, if you pull forward without opening your mouth, you will cut your mouth. But if you pull forward while or by opening your mouth, the pain is going to be less. So it's a normal reaction. Now when he does it and feels that you're not using strength, and with time he stops pulling, his mouth opening is not going to be as clear or as, let's say, visual as it was in the past. That's all. So it's something that he decides to do in the beginning, then he decides to do less when you start letting him know how good of a rider you are. So if he does it and uses that against you, that means you are using strength, and because of that you're not controlling the horse. And if he does it and you control the horse, that means your hand accuracy was correct, the mouth opening was a reaction, and it's gone now, or at least it's not as clear as it was in the past. So it's normal, it's natural. Just doing it doesn't mean that you are a bad rider, and it doesn't mean that you are a good rider. And just because other ways of riding don't actually have it, or you don't see it with them when they ride the horse for a couple of months, even though you see it in the beginning when they lead the horse for the first time or ride him, he opens his mouth because they have to use the hands. You cannot use spurs when you're breaking or starting the horse for the first couple of days. The same goes for the stick or the whip. So the horse will open his mouth with them, but they don't show you the videos in the beginning of the starting or the breaking. They show you the videos after a couple of months. And in their way of riding, the pressure is not on the mouth, it's on the shoulders, the hindquarters, the back, the neck, or the top of the neck. So you see the pressure in the mouth less. So you believe that the entire pressure is less, which is not true at all. It's as the pressure you have, or it's the same pressure that you have in your way of riding, or even more sometimes, but it's not as clear visually when you look at it, because you just look at the mouth. The horse is not going to open his mouth and say ouch when you use the spurs on the sides of his mouth, his body, or abdomen or belly, or rib cage. The horse will not open his mouth when you whip him with the stick or the whip on the shoulders or on the thighs, the hindquarters. So just because he didn't open his mouth doesn't mean the pressure is less. Usually it's the same pressure, and sometimes even more. Now, if the same exact way of riding that puts the pressure in so many different spots, not just the mouth, as I said before, ride the same exact horse without the equipment for a couple of days, he will immediately open his mouth as much as your horse, or even more. And if they are good enough, they will get the same result you got, but he will open his mouth. If they are bad riders who cannot actually depend on the accuracy of the hands, the horse will open his mouth and will bolt. So it's something that has some truth in it. And 90% of horse riders, especially the ones who know nothing about riding, take it and use it as a proof to prove that this horse is ridden in a correct way, or this horse is ridden in a bad way. If I am wrong, prove me wrong. Show me a horse in the same exact situation, especially when you start him or break him in the beginning, in the first couple of days, bareback, no saddle, no martingale, no whip, no spurs, no lunging before the ride. Stop him easily, move him back easily, before, while, and after doing what you want, going inside the water, starting gates, trailers, or whatever. And I want to see his reaction in the neck, the head, and the mouth. He will move it up and he will open it, but they will not show it to you. It's not about opening the mouth, it's about why did he open the mouth and what happened after he opened the mouth. He doesn't open the mouth with them because the pressure is not on the mouth, it's on other spots that are more painful sometimes, or most of the times. Yeah.